John Kramer is not in this movie. But that won't stop us from overanalyzing this mysterious new villain. Who could it be? This guy? This guy? This guy? Hello, and welcome to Foot the Bill, where we audit your favorite media. My name is Trey, and today we're looking at Spiral from the Book of Saw. Spiral is a beautiful film that feels like it was made alongside Jigsaw, but they could only afford Tobin Bell for one movie and decided to flip a coin, which Spiral lost. Because, as we're reminded a lot in this movie, the killer isn't John Kramer.
Well, what do you think about this whole Jigsaw angle? You think it's, what do you call one of those disciples? Ghost or not, somebody's out there pulling all the strings.
Whether Jigsaw is present or no, we still have to lay out the rules.
And that wouldn't have been necessary if you'd simply played by the rules. But you don't like rules, do you?
No utilities get charged for it. Location-specific scavenging is permitted when applicable. If it can be fished out of the trash, it's not an expense, it's foraging. Most of these traps take place in abandoned factories and the like, lending a very Saw 1 vibe to the whole operation. As such, Spiral incurs a lot of traps that can be best described as found stuff. John would be proud, I think, of what's been achieved here. All prices for purchases will be determined based on the year depicted in the film. In this case, that's 2019. By the way, can you believe this movie was shot in 2019? That means all our price calculations shouldn't experience too much inflation for once. Thankfully, nothing crazy rocked the economy between 2019 and now. Oh God. So, who is the Spiraler? What's with the new puppet? Is this a 4th of July holiday flick with a message of self-care and spa days? Let's find out. The movie opens with fireworks. The rebels have once again defeated the Empire, and all the Ewoks are celebrating. One Ewok in particular looks like he's about to vacation in the Caribbean and eat his former therapist. Detective Marv Boswick. Detective is hot on the trail of Benny, that's Benny, who has just vanished deep into the crowd. After threatening a civilian for using fireworks during the 4th of July, asshole, Bozzie Bear chases Benny into the sewers like the Ninja Turtle that he is. Wait, that's no turtle. That's a mannequin! Look out, Boz! In a flash, a pig mask robed figure emerges to possibly chloroform Boswick. You know, actually, I recently learned that chloroform doesn't work like that. But you know what does? Ether. Yeah, ether. Yeah, that's stuff from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah. So we're gonna go with ether for this. Sorry, chloroform fans. I'm best friends with ether now. Anyway, our detective awakens in a bit of a pickle. His hands are bound with what looks like some sort of barbed wire, not a huge amount though, and his tongue is caught in a vise suspended from the ceiling of the subway tunnel. I am proud to present, before upsetting choo-choos, allow leeway. Finally, a character I almost like, or buccal facial. I knew this was spa-themed. Spiral. A TV clicks on with a mysterious pig mask giving some very judgmental instructions.
Hello, Detective Boswick. I want to play a game.
Boz needs to rip his own tongue out or suffer the consequences. Reviewing what materials we have for this trap, this is pretty budget. The chain looks decently scavenged, if I'm being honest, and one could say the same for most of the other materials. Those springs could be new, and the rebar has been modified to fit the design of the trap. The TV is definitely scavenged, but we don't get a good look at what's feeding that screen. We've got the tracking errors of a VHS player, and there's nothing to confirm that this is a filter other than resolution. Still, based on the rest of the trap, I think it's safe to say there's an operable VCR somewhere to the left of the TV with a tape inside. Scavenging a working VCR in 2019 isn't as easy as a simple dumpster dive, but the playback is shit, so we'll split the difference and charge for that. Let's see how Boz appreciates these money-saving strategies, and he's dead. Gross. We're rewarded with a title card and swept from Subway to Quiznos, where Zeke, that's Zeke, is getting busted for an unsanctioned undercover job. Zeke doesn't much trust his coworkers, as he's quick to tell his boss, Angie, that's Angie. As punishment, he's getting a new coworker. coworker, a rookie detective straight from the sty. Shank, that's Shank, is a real go-getter. New wife, new son. He's everything a detective aspires to be.
So, how do you take coffee in the morning?
Alone.
Zeke seems more intent on giving him statistics and life advice, but don't worry, Shank, there's some real-life experience headed your way. The two are given a mess to check out in the subway, where it's quickly determined that this ain't your ordinary body strewn amidst the subway tracks. This one is a fan of retro gaming.
You see a lot of TV sets in the subway?
Back at the station, someone's left a gift for Zeke. A small gift box in that very famous recognizable Saw series Seafoam green. Contained within is a well-worn brass flash drive, inviting Zeke to play what's inside. Why, it's a reminder to subscribe if you haven't already. You know, 75% of you aren't even subscribed yet.
Don't want to fuck up my computer.
Okay, ow. I'm getting that sub from you, Chris Rock. You can't stop me!
Hello, Detective Banks.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm here to help reform the Metro Police.
Is that Jigsaw?
Wait, I thought the Jigsaw Killer was dead.
Vampire! They never found the body! I fucking knew it!
Yeah, but if it's another copycat.
Damn it!
It's gonna be a shit show.
You said it, not me. The video goes on to recommend police reform or face the consequences, and suggests that the first among them shall be last, whatever that means. Zeke, meanwhile, recognizes the scene of the vlog, and they hightail it over there. Another gift box contains another gift, a badge and some tongue. Gross! Zeke quickly identifies the badge number as belonging to Boz, his only friend at the station. Back at that station, Fitch, that's Fitch, calls it like he sees it and suggests that this is a Jigsaw copycat. And Kraus, that's Kraus, is tasked with getting in touch with the FBI for copies of all their investigation notes. So at least we're acknowledging that Strom died and that there have been Jigsaw copycats. Zeke, meanwhile, demands control of the case. After all, Boz was his friend.
Boz was my friend!
And the rest of the detectives suck.
Me? No! You!
So naturally, he gets to lead the case. Everyone take note of the positive workplace vibes. Note taken? Good. Zeke takes those good vibes home, where he almost shoots his dad.
You pull a gun on your old man?
Marcus, that's Marcus, is the former chief of Zeke's precinct, and he is also packing heat.
I could have killed you.
The two hash out your typical father-son topics: rent, independence, serial killers.
Jigsaw copycat. That could be difficult.
I know, what is this, like the third time we've tried to make this happen? I don't know if I can do this anymore, honestly.
This ain't about you. You always making about you.
All right, my bad. Carry on. Marcus invites Zeke over to talk about the case that night and heads out. Now, you may be thinking, Zeke's got a pretty stilted relationship with literally everyone he knows. And you would be correct. A few years back, Zeke caught his partner killing a witness and turned him into internal affairs, as you do. But this is the Saw universe, the Sawniverse, where that shit gets you blacklisted. And you can tell this is the Sawniverse because of Zeke's de-aging goatee. Nice. Back at Command Center, the gang are struggling to get a lead on the case.
I've been staring at this for 5 hours. I don't even look at porn that long.
Haha! Out on the streets, Fitch and Kraus, you remember Fitch and Kraus, are canvassing shops in the area for security footage.
There's Boz.
Who's that he's chasing?
I know that guy. Benny Rides.
Turns out that cracked out Patriot Boz was chasing is Benny, you remember Benny, and he's been crashing in the old bread factory. You know the old bread factory. Fitch volunteers to track down Benny at said bread factory, but instead of bread, he gets bacon! The cult of ham pulls the wool over Fitch's eyes, and he wakes up in a tub of water. Fitch is wearing a modified goalie mask with a metal clamp in his mouth, his fingers ensnared in steel mesh nets. Biting down sends a signal that activates a very large complex winch system. With his feet soaking wet and his hands on the table, I present to you, maybe a new invention will project equitable destructive interests, or mani-pedi. A flat screen TV pops to life and we're greeted with Piggy.
Hello, Detective Fitch. I want to play a game.
Microsoft Ham has decided that Fitch needs to die. During a routine traffic stop, a citizen exercised their right to freedom of speech. Fitz responded by exercising his trigger finger. Now he gets to lose all of his fingers. He must bite down and let the machine take his little piggies before the water level gets too high, or else he'll face electrocution. Neat! The construction of this machine is kind of wild. On the one hand, parts of it seem incredibly hacked together, right? The table surface, the pipe holding down his hands, the bathtub itself. But then the machine part of the machine is definitely purpose-built. At first, I couldn't quite figure out what purpose. Each of the 10 steel cable wires is threaded through a piece of rebar that's had channels milled through it. They're all neatly organized via a large winch system back onto a very significant spool of cable. There's some external gears and chains on one side of the machine, and later we see a hand wheel on the other side, implying that this thing can be manually fed if need be. After speaking to a few machinists, this appears to be a spool winding machine used to do exactly what it's doing, winding up a spool. In this instance, it's winding up a single spool from 10 sources. Externally it looks old, but everything inside is quite new, so if Mr. Piggy built this, they most likely assembled it from a few different machines, or at the very least brought in older materials for the externals and purchased the internals separately. So, how does Fitch handle his day at the spa? Poorly! Some people just don't know how to relax. But why are cops being targeted? Other than the obvious, they're all corrupt thing. Well, it turns out they're all corrupt and personally hate Zeke. Everybody hates Zeke. Why does everybody hate Zeke? Oh right, remember that cop that Zeke turned in? It turns out that was a bad move. Schenk calls Zeke to report that Boz was corrupt and lying on the stand.
Well, I'm looking through all the Metro records like you asked, and Boz was accused of lying on the stand more than anybody.
Bad move. When Zeke goes to have dinner with his now absent father, he instead dines with memories long past. You can tell it's a memory because Zeke looks younger for some reason, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh, it's the hat. Lovely. Turns out young Zeke called for backup and Fitch declined to help. Once Zeke was shot, Marcus, in his de-aging mustache, brought the smackdown on Fitch. Oof. Fast forward back to the office, and Zeke's just received another gift box. Contained inside is another flash drive. A video shows a truck with a spiral painted on the side, and a Piggly Wiggly puppet taunting Zeke and his fellow detectives. Adorable! The gang head out to the truck and discover a big old piggy in the cab, as well as another gift box.
What's in the box?
Finger licking, finger licking, finger licking, finger licking, fingers! Gross! The gang relocate to the bread factory and find Fitch being lazy in the lobster tank of doom. Zeke learns that Fitch and Krause were investigating behind his back. Assholes. Zeke thinks he has a lead on Benny though, and he and Schenk head off to find him.
And this is where Benny gets his meth.
Cool. Zeke dresses up as a crackhead, again with the hat, and entices magician Chris Ramsey to check out a new puzzle box. Turns out this box is full of ink and pain. How much pain? That much pain! Zeke confirms Benny is a scumbag addicted to meth, and he's been missing for 2 days. Who knew? Without much else to go on though, Zeke opts to catch up with the cop he ratted on. Pete, that's Pete, is hanging out in a church with a group of like-minded individuals. Pete checks in on Zeke's culinary interests. You know, it's good to see how your friend's hobbies are going. I guess he got Zeke into cooking.
Don't let this guy catch you jaywalking or he'll stab you right in the fucking back.
Don't forget, Pete.
You gave me the knife.
That's cool. Pete reminisces about his wild and crazy time as a cop.
We were out of control. Cops were given their own discretion to crack down on crime.
And Zeke wants to know where he was on the night Boz was murdered.
Where were you July 4th at 9:30 p.m.?
Really? That's what you're here for.
And so Pete confesses. He confesses to punching a drunk at an AA meeting. I'm sorry, I thought this party was supposed to be anonymous. Zeke and Schenk head out. One more lead, a dead end. Pete holding down the tabernacle.
God loves you, Zeke.
Back home, Zeke still can't find his dad, Marcus. Yeah, I feel that. The next morning, Schenk is late for work and another package arrives for Zeke. At least this time it's actually intercepted. Quick, everyone, point your gun at the box. It could be armed. With the box successfully disarmed, Zeke pops the lid to discover some sick pigskin Adidas. Kidding, it's a puppet with a fleshy body. Oh. That's weird. That skin looks familiar. Don't quote me on that. Inside the flesh pocket, don't quote me on that either, is a bottle of model paint. Paint used on each of those flash drives Zeke got in the mail. And he immediately knows where to go. You see, Zeke's dad, Marcus, loves trains. Seriously, I'm pretty sure he's more into trains than his own son. Like, I think he left his wife to try to get with trains. Every wall of Marcus's apartment has a portrait of a train, a photo of a train. The cabinets are full of trains. There's trains on the desks, finished trains, unfinished trains. The only photo Marcus has of his son is the both of them at a fucking model shop buying a train. That model shop is now a butchery, as Zeke explains.
Zeke, how do you know about this place?
My dad used to take me here. Wasn't always a butcher shop. Used to be Constantine Trains.
You're right, Zeke. Now it's a morgue, because chilling in the back room is a body, stripped down to their birthday suit, and then some. We don't get to see how this one played out, but I guess we can call this now completed trap forced unaliving. Living loosely because of death. Your people enforce epidermis loss, or the full body peel. On the floor of the shower is a microcassette recorder, an Olympus Pearl Recorder S930. That's a weird model recorder if I'm being honest, but always a pleasure to see one. With Shank dead and Zeke puzzled, Captain Oblivious is heading down to the cold case room in the basement following a tip from Marcus? Zeke gets called out to a crime scene. Someone in a pig mask has attacked a day duty officer, but Zeke thinks it's a distraction. Angie, you remember Angie, is down in the basement hunting for the case file Marcus texted her when she's jump scared by a pig-masked assailant in the room. The door slams shut behind her and tear gas fills the basement. Angie wakes, finding herself strapped to an angled table with a cheesecloth over her face. A tape in her left hand explains the situation.
Hello, Captain Garza. I want to play a game.
I present to you yet another spa-themed death trap. Manifesting undulating dirt? Materialize a serial killer instead, girl! Or mud masking. Angie needs to relax her shoulders and use that blade to sever her spine, else get absolutely dunked on by some very, very hot wax. I don't know how this trap is supposed to know when her spine has been severed, and scrubbing through this scene doesn't reveal any heart monitors, sensors, or visual cues as to what's going down. Mr. Oinkers isn't even in the room anymore, so it's not like they could twist a knob. All in all, I think Angie is just gonna have to put up with the facial. It's your spa day, Angie. You're supposed to relax. Across town, Zeke has finally figured out Car Go Fast, and he arrives at the station. It takes a minute to figure out where Angie went, but eventually they find the safe door and find it to be locked. In the painful moments it takes to open the door, the trap is ended. Angie's cooked. Ugh. Zeke is distraught, having lost every ally and enemy around him. Footage of Angie's death was deleted by someone from the inside. Evidence suggests that it was Pete's badge number that last logged in, but Shank's body was discovered at Marcus's old stomping grounds, and Marcus is still missing. Ultimately, though, Zeke chooses to pursue Pete.
You're too close to this thing, Zeke!
Yeah, no kidding. Zeke pulls up to Pete's church, but he's pignapped instead. But this does ask an important question. Where is Marcus? Well, it turns out a few nights ago, he showed up at this creepy old factory, and upon investigating, found a hall of spirals. That feels normal, sure, yeah. Pushing deeper, some mood lighting and a special invitation beckons him into the inner sanctum of a very stable person's mind.
You want to play games, mother? All right, I'll play.
Marcus accepts the invitation and comes upon a beautifully old-school Jigsaw nest. This reminds me a lot of Jigsaw's little bungalow we see in the first Saw film. We've got a lot of old, very old stuff. Best I can spot are some used tool shelves, a few different lamps, a serious collection of pig masks, an old typewriter. I think that's a number 5 Underwood standard typewriter. Oh, that's awesome. Those can be a little pricey. What else? We've got a neat little stereo, evidence of a desktop computer present near that typewriter. Now that must be how they make the tapes, or the voice alterations. Speaking of those tapes, Mr. Oinkers is definitely using a camera. Now this could be as simple as a webcam, but those scans scan lines might also suggest a very used handheld cam, like what Hoffman was using back in the day. However, given the pixel clarity, I think it could be a more modern camera that's been damaged slightly, thus offering a discount. But before Marcus can call you to ask if you've subscribed to the channel yet, he's been pignapped! Zeke wakes up in a room that's been recently utilized for glass recycling. Hey, that's good. His left wrist handcuffed to a pipe. Oh, that's bad. Within reach is a busted up saw, and this seems familiar. Earlier in the film, it was revealed that Zeke is divorced, and those commitment issues are sticking around as Zeke hesitates to saw his hand off. Instead, he picks the lock and just picks himself up to realize he's not alone. Pete, you remember Pete, is chained up and hanging with a microcassette recorder around his neck. Zeke seems to think that Pete killed Boz, what with his chained up hands.
Kill Boz? What the f you talking? Kill Boz!
Eventually, Zeke figures out that he ought to play the tape.
Hello, Detective Banks. I want to play a game.
Oh, it's for him. Zeke needs to choose whether to save Pete or leave him locked up and throw away the key. As the glass starts to fly, I present to you friendly understanding leaves lovers bonding over deadly youth. Maybe a safer solution acquires greater effort. Or the full body massage. Pete, just lean back, relax, and let the stress drip off those shoulders. Zeke tries to pick the lock, but no avail. Eventually, he detectives the key in the trash and gets the lock off, but Pete's so relaxed from his massage, he dies. R.I. Pete. And no, I'm not charging for the recycling center. Is it operating to spec? No. It's utilizing a pneumatic conveying system that uses airflow to push the shredded glass into the next repository. Currently, that repository is disconnected and replaced with a Pete, so no charge. I know, I'd have loved to build that, but I don't make the rules. Zeke hightails it across the factory, arriving at the grand reveal.
A succulent Chinese meal.
Hosted by Shank, you're alive and so well fed. Vampire?
I've been loyal to you since the first day we met.
Loyal vampire. So yeah, it turns out that corpse at the butcher shop was Benny. You remember Benny. Shank tattooed his arm, which means I guess we can charge for a tattoo machine. What? It was Shank who texted Marcus to lure him to the factory. Apparently this is a soap factory, very Fight Club. Shank wants to partner up with Zeke to clean up the police department, and he credits John Kramer with the philosophy.
John Kramer was right. Spiral. Symbol of change, evolution, progress. But why limit that to an individual when you can apply it to a whole system?
Uh-huh. To which Zeke totally agrees.
I'm in, but my dad goes free.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Shank fires off a few rounds while calling the police and takes Zeke to his conclusion.
It's time for your final test.
Marcus is in a bit of a mess. Shank offers up some biology.
Do you know there's 1.5 gallons of blood in the human body, Zeke?
Cool. Before inviting Zeke to play a carnival game.
The only thing that can set him free is the bullet in your gun fired at that target.
Slightly less cool. Zeke's dad is bleeding out fast. In 4 minutes or so, he'll be dead, unless Zeke takes the shot. Easy peasy. We can charge for some jars, some tubing. We actually saw a lot of these materials at Shank's little workshop, as well as the lights that light up the room and the lamp on the table. Yeah, all those lights. All of them. Seriously. Those limb braces look old, but still functional. Not entirely sure what purpose they serve yet. The clock is ticking for Zeke to save his papa when he decides to reiterate everyone's complaint about this movie.
You're not Jigsaw.
Yeah, man, we know. Trust me, we all know. Shank doesn't give a shunk, however, telling Zeke that this is the game and he's gotta play it.
Shoot me, and you both lose. Shoot the target, and we both win. You wanna play?
SWAT is sweeping towards the door when Shank reveals the ultimate twist. The real villain is Marcus Banks, progenitor of invasive policing that gave cops a wide berth to lay down violence upon citizenry. And every cop was in on it. Pete, Fitch, even Angie.
Angie?
Angie! It was Angie.
Everyone was in on it except Zeke. the cleanest pig in the sty. Zeke fires off a round and the target falls, freeing his father to collapse in a heap on the floor. Zeke pursues Shank into the elevator as SWAT begins to saw into the room. Marcus tries to stop them, but they can't hear him. They sever a cord and a switch is activated. 4 winches high above begin to pull Marcus upright, revealing the true trap. Someone help, I've broken a rule in a Saw game! Or Shibari, a Saw game. The police burst in, and several high-power stage lights illuminate the room, blinding the officers and obscuring Marcus's true state. He is suspended, a prosthetic gun sliding into his hand, rising to aim at the SWAT team in the room. Their years of violent responses finally coming to fruition. Shank has turned Marcus into his piggy puppet, and he is executed by police force. Shank slips away quietly, leaving Zeke screaming on the floor as the movie ends. With an entire homicide department forced through a spa of horrors, how did our new vampire apprentice Shank perform? Can our baby bat detective pull out all the stops to afford a whole new Saw franchise? Or did the Book of Saw run out of ink before ending the prologue? Let's find out. In total, Shank spent approximately $10,220.99 in 2019. Adjusting for inflation, that's around $12,560.50. My God, that should be illegal. Shank's cheapest trap was the full body peel. Not really a trap, but I don't want to split hairs. That mess cost approximately $113 even, or $138.86 after inflation. Shank's most expensive trap was the mani-pedi at a whopping $3,888. The outside was old, the inside was new, and it was all very well lit. Adjusting for inflation, that's $4,777.93 in 2024. Taking a look at the charts, you can see for the first time a movie with zero financial input from John Kramer. He is, seriously, not in this movie whatsoever. It's kind of stunning to look at, a little goofy. The franchise expenses chart shows just how thrifty Shank was in comparison to the previous films. Shank just nudges the totals up ever so slightly. A dip in finances to be sure, but was it also a dip in quality? Maybe. If we take a look at the apprentices over time, you can see Shank really trying to pull the series back towards its roots. And considering he's the most recent apprentice copycat jigsawman, I think that's admirable. John liked to work on a budget, except for when he really, truly didn't. Breaking down the apprentices further, you can see that Shank has spent a not insignificant amount of money on this film, but compared to the heavy hitters, he's coming in way under. Still spent more than Gordon, cheap ass, and the apprentices still haven't spent as much as John. Oh, John. The burning question then, can Shank have afforded Spiral? Yeah, dude, easily. He worked as a beat cop for a while before making it a homicide. Pretty sure he doesn't even own a car. He's got no wife, he's got no kid. Yeah, man, just like don't drink beer for a year. Speaking of, with a budget of $10,220.99, he could have just purchased 10 iPhones. 10. If you and 9 friends got together, sold your phones, pooled the money, you too could have a brat summer like Shank. Slay. All in all, Spiral was a beautiful film, missing a stronger cameo from John Kramer. It really feels like Jigsaw and Spiral were competing for the same budget, and at times, even the same story. But without a stronger acknowledgement of what came before, Spiral feels like a lost chapter that should have had more potential. It seems like everyone involved enjoyed themselves, and we got a cool cameo from YouTube magician Chris Ramsey. Go check him out. But there you have it, Spiral! Can you feel it, kittens? Can you feel what's coming? A new chapter is emerging. A story once completed is reopening. A hidden passage reveals itself. That's right. The final 3 Saw videos are upon us. At least until the next movie comes out next year. Yes, in the weeks and months to come, in no particular order, it is time. Saw the video game. Saw the video game 2, Flesh and Blood, and Saw X, Socks. I want to give a huge shout out to each and every one of you, and especially these fine folks over at Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your continued support means I can dedicate more time to these videos and eat food at the same time. At the same time! Special shout out to Twisted Squid Evil for being a member of the Feet tier. No feet pics at that tier, but you do get to hear me say your internet name. If you want to support the channel, consider joining the Patreon or YouTube membership, but by no means feel obligated to do so. I'm just happy to have you here with us, hanging out, laughing along. We're gonna be streaming the Saw video games coming up soon, and I'm really looking forward to that. We just went to a con recently. We weren't guests or anything. We're not there yet. But hey, it was a lot of fun, and it reminds me that I love going to horror conventions and seeing fans of the genre, and one day I hope to be able to connect with you guys in that way. I think that would be really cool. Because remember, I'm here to make stuff if you're here to watch. Thanks.